Good morning, good afternoon. Not sure where you are in this world, but you know what? Today, it's time for another segment of Who Closed Last Night, brought to you by Walnut Street Hospitality Group. And Walnut Street Hospitality Group does some business management, some consulting. We have a marketing department, accounting department, all that good stuff, but probably stuff you don't really care about. Blah, blah, blah. I hope you guys didn't hear that. Anyway, so my name is Stan.
And I'm Zach.
And once again, Walnut Street Hospitality Group is bringing this podcast to you, Who Closed Last Night. So,
before we get started, go ahead and stop, follow, like, and share. Follow us on Instagram at Who Closed Last Night _, YouTube at Who Closed Last Night Podcast, Gmail at Who Closed Last Night Pod at gmail.com, TikTok at Who Closed Last Night _ and listen to our podcast on Spotify.
And that is a winner. So now we're going to get into how this podcast works. And I think one of the things that's important to us is this is our opinion. We've come up with some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
By trial and error. This isn't meant to be gospel. Take it, leave it, listen to it, laugh at it, call us whatever you want. But we have some successful businesses, and we'd like to think that we have something to contribute.
That's correct, and learn from our mistakes, because none of these lessons, there's not a rule book or a handbook. What we've done is set out to be successful, encounter obstacles, and we're strategic and figured out how to get around them to get to success. So we're here to help you make a shortcut and just go to be successful. All right.
So with that being said, here's how it works. We kind of break down our podcast into three separate segments. The first is the real life question. Well, you know, what it is that we are ask ourselves, or what we think we might be able to help you with. That's what the first part is. Then we break it down into examples, stories, just some, some of that BS that happened.
That real life lesson.
That real life lesson. That's what we'll call it.
It hits hard sometimes.
There's no fair fight when you're messing with the real life lesson. You get kicked, you get scratched, and your hair gets pulled. With that being said, after we do the real life examples, then we get into what was the lesson? What do we hope that you take away from this? And, again, we've lived this, so we're not like making this stuff up. And we hope that you will take this as something that might be able to help you. With that, here is our topic. The topic is, and if you've been managing, owning, or doing any of this stuff, you know that communication is the biggest issue. And so our real life lesson is communication. The problem is thinking that you've had it. You know about that.
I know 100% about this, and it's happened to me. I can give you an example. When you're developing leaders that run your business, whether that's a manager, a partner, a shift leader, a team member, a lot of times you'll leave, or I guess from my own experience, hey, let's make sure we clean the bathrooms today, right? Come back the next day, inspect what you expect is a rule that's close to my heart. But this lesson is kind of surrounds that. So I'm leaving for the day. Hey guys, let's hit the bathrooms, make sure we detail them. Come back the next morning. First thing I inspect are the restrooms. And it looks like it was swept. Trash was taken out. Soap scum still on the walls. Toilets could be cleaner. Maybe refill the toilet paper. And what I learned was that I said clean the bathroom, but I didn't provide a list or my expectation of what that meant. And so when I came in the next morning, of course, it's my fault as a leader that didn't get completed.
So I think what I'm hearing in this is that it's not good enough to just to give a broad spectrum direction. You have to be specific about what you want out of it, what the business is looking for out of it. in order to make this happen, right? In order for
That's
you
correct.
not to be disappointed, for them to check all the boxes that you're expecting them to check. And what I know for a fact is that if you're a business leader, that simple kind of direction happens the majority of the time. Hey, make sure the kitchen's clean when you leave. But do they have a list that tells you what a clean kitchen is? Right?
They don't unless you've struggled with this issue before and figured out how to get past it, right?
I know when so here's an example. We say, hey, chef, we want to put together, 6 menu items, and we want to replace the 6 items, least selling items on our menu. And that's the direction. Now, what does that mean? If you're a chef, if you're a manager, whoever you are, that could mean so many different things. Is there a direction that you wanted to go in? Are there some things that are off limits on the menu that just aren't going to change? Is there a price component that you need to have to match that menu? And until you learn how to communicate in a very succinct way, and then after you've communicated, what's the best question to ask?
Can you repeat that back to me?
Can you repeat that back to me? Or what does that mean to you?
One and the same, 2 different ways to communicate it, same result.
Same result, which is satisfaction. It's about getting what you need.
That's the bell of satisfaction.
Oh, I thought that was a winning bell. Okay, well, either way, do you have any other maybe examples that you've given maybe to other managers, maybe as you've expanded in your roles, some different things that have happened to you?
Yes, I think that one of the biggest thing is so I believe that an interview is the gatekeeper to the success of your business, whether that's retail, restaurants, whatever your business might be, whatever your team might be, right? I think that when you say hire somebody with a good personality, hire somebody that fills your store's availability needs, those are my expectations. But I probably would say, hey, we need to hire somebody, right? And now I have a whole interview form, a sheet that goes through all these important questions, has space for notes, but it wasn't always like that. So when I would tell a new manager, hey, we need a hire for the season, right? They would, but they would just hire the first 3 people that came in the door, showed up to the interview. And, sometimes they would even forget to hire someone that is filling the hole in their schedule that they fight every week, right? A weekend shift, a morning shift, whatever it is. And they just hired someone and they still left with the same flat tire on their schedule. Nobody that can open Saturday and Sunday. And then they're complaining to me about having to work, an extra day or a long shift or whatever it might be. But my communication that changed to complete the last 10% of that communication circle. So we believe that communication is like a circle. It's 100%. It's a circle, and most managers stop at 90%. Closing that 10% gap is the most important if you want to be satisfied.
So I know one of the things that you just said was new managers. When you get a new manager, you kind of have to help them.
Yes.
Understand that 100% rule of closing the circle. I would even go as far as to say that it's not just new managers. I think there are so many managers that have been doing it for so long that they forget that they got to close that 10%, right? They're barking stuff out as they walk around. The second part of that is many of those managers, even though they've been around for a while, have never been taught themselves to close that last 10% of the communication circle. And for me, I think that's the assumption on my part is we hired an experienced manager. But is that manager experienced in the way that we communicate or
That's
the
correct.
way that, whatever our expectations are?
Acclimated to our culture.
To our culture. And I think so similar to Zach's example about cleaning the restroom. I'm going to say that we had a chef, and this guy was an experienced chef, and he was with us for quite a while. And I would come into the kitchen and I would say, "Hey, how come this wasn't cleaned and that wasn't cleaned and this isn't cleaned?" And his responses to me would be, "Well, I told him to clean it." And so, of course, me being me, I would ask those people, "Hey, did the chef ask you to clean this? How come it didn't get cleaned?" And their responses were, "Oh, he said clean the kitchen." And, we cleaned it. We didn't notice that. We didn't recognize that. So what really happened is there was that broad shotgun approach, right? Just try to hit everything instead of saying, "Hey, today we want to focus on this corner here where you can tell, there's that corner piece where it's all dirt because when you mop, you don't get in there and scrub, right? In the corner." And so once we started to say, "Hey, here are the specifics," and even better, "Hey, let's walk the kitchen. Let's walk around and let me point out these things. And these are the things that I would like to have clean. And I'd like to have them clean. Chef, when do you think we can get these cleaned by?" Let him be a part of that decision.
Yes.
So he's committed to his time. It's not me saying, "Hey, do it in 5 minutes." It's, "Hey, when can we get it done?" Knowing what's realistic and, what's
right.
not realistic.
I always like to start with, let's take a field trip. Just like you said, let's take a tour and I'll show you what's dirty and you tell me when we can get it clean and how we're going to do it.
So do you find that when you say, "Let's take a field trip," everybody starts to do this?
They think that's what I'm doing in my head.
Oh, okay.
Like a moo-ha-ha.
Follow me.
Yes.
I think that's what this is about. And I think if all of you out there think about probably the biggest issues that you have in your businesses is that you're not getting what it is that you need because you haven't communicated specifically what it is that you want.
That's right. And I would just tell you from an example of let's take a field trip and clean the restrooms. It's always nice to come in the next day and be able to say good job, right? Because they knew the instructions were clear. Hey, let's get the soap scum off the wall. Let's sweep this corner that catches all the lint or something. That vent up there that sucks all the air. When was the last time we cleaned that, right? Or let's dust the light bulbs and the light fixtures. And I think that is something most noticed by our guests is everybody goes to a restroom. People can notice when something's clean.
Yes.
Or that it's not dirty. That's usually what it is. Wow, it's not dirty.
Well, how many times have you heard or read in a review that says, "Well, this is a clean restaurant," and and it might not be clean to your direction, but the general perception of what people see is a clean restaurant.
Yes, and for a guest to come in and say that about your business or your restaurant, that feels great. That's a great compliment, right?
So I think there's also a secondary benefit to being specific about your expectations and about communicating beyond that 90% range.
You're going to take what I was going to say next.
Oh, go ahead. What are you going to say?
So I believe the next thing that you're going to say, which is what I was going to say, is it helps develop your whole team, right? Everybody sees your vision in their head. They know what to do, right? So the next time when you say, "Hey, let's clean the store, clean the restroom," they now know what you're talking about. And you're satisfied more often as a business leader, a business owner, a general manager, a manager. Your team is developed and they can help take some of that weight off of your shoulders.
So I think that's probably about 80% of what I was going to say. The other 20% is the culture that you develop from a communication style. It's not just about getting it done through everyone else, but everyone learns to have that expectation of, ooh, I just said 90%. Let me back up and give you that other 10% of what needs to happen. And then the people that they're talking to end up coming back later and saying, oh, you wanted me to do this stuff too, right? Because that's
Yes.
what happened the last time. And I think that is how you develop a culture of communication.
Agreed.
So we're talking, I guess, to kind of wrap this into a real life lesson, is that if you look at communication as a big circle, 100% circle, and your communication to get across no matter what you want, whether it's a cleaning list, it's your ideas for a marketing campaign, your ideas for menus, whatever it is, the sale that you're going to have. What has to happen is everybody has to be on the same page about expectations. And I find it easier myself most of the time to kind of give it a little bit of forethought so that I can bullet point what I'm expecting. And then if I want it to go from 90 to 100%, but I really want to get it to 110%, I'm giving them a list, right?
Yes.
I'm giving them that checklist that says, hey, when this is done, you did a good job.
And everybody loves being told, hey, thank you. You've done a great job.
Absolutely.
I know I
Absolutely.
do.
Heck yeah. And as do I, right? And have you ever noticed, though, that the higher up you go, no one ever tells you do a good job?
Yes, I have.
Me too. So go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think that as a leader, it's your job to make it easier maybe isn't the right word, make it digestible for your team to win, but your team doesn't always stop and think, hey, how much time did this guy or woman, this person put into making sure that we could do our jobs?
Right, right.
It's a great point.
So how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. So when you're compiling your communications, you also have to think about who you're communicating to.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to break down that elephant to digestible bites.
That's correct.
So before we wrap up the topic, is there something you'd like to say about how to get a hold of us?
Of course. I think, first of all, follow, like, and share. Leave a comment in the comments. We love to respond to you guys. I think we got some responses we're going to do next. But follow, like, and share. We're on Instagram at WhoClosedLastNight_, YouTube at WhoClosedLastNight Podcast, TikTok at WhoClosedLastNight_, and then please send us your Who Closed Last Night story of the week. This is for anybody in the industry, owning a business, retail, leading a team, whatever you have, that's about business leadership and managing your business. Send your Who Closed Last Night story of the week to WhoClosedLastNightPod, P-O-D, @gmail.com. And we would love to laugh with you, cry with you, feature you on our podcast, and share your story with the world.
That's exactly how you can reach us, and we want you to reach us. We want to be able to read one of your comments, talk a little bit about your experience. So, with that being said, we're gonna tackle a couple of the responses that we've received. And again, when we respond to these comments that are sent to us, it's our opinion, right? It's our opinion. Just as you give an opinion or tell us what you think, we're doing the same thing, and I think that's what makes us that's what makes America great, right? Is everybody can have an opinion and talk about it, and we don't have to agree. Your experience is going to lead you in your direction. Our experience is going to lead us in our direction, and our experience might be different between the two of us.
Yes,
and I think that's what makes this so fun and interesting.
Let's learn something from each other.
let's always be learning, right? If you're not learning, you're not growing. So let's learn a little bit. So we a couple podcasts ago we did one that's who we are is not who we were or who we're going to be. And the comment was, well, let me back up. The gist of that was we change.
Everybody changes.
Everybody changes, whether it's by accident or intentional.
Yes.
We all change, and hopefully we make intentional changes to get better
Yes.
based on our experience or what people are telling us. So we have a comment, and I'm going to agree with this comment. So let's just, yay! So the comment is, and this came from someone who's, I guess, well, we don't want to give names, but anyway, the end of their name is 7022. It says, but not everybody that changes a lot deserves to lead. And I absolutely agree with that, right? But I think the purpose of what we are talking about in change is not all about becoming a leader. It's about becoming better. And, there are leaders out there that change to be better. There are people out there that want to change because they want to be a leader. And there are people out there that change maybe in a negative way.
Yes.
So I don't know. Do you agree that not everybody that changes, even for the better, is built out to be a leader?
I completely agree with that. And I'd like to pair that with this. Everybody doesn't change at the same rate. So even though they're changing, they might not be ready for a leader yet, but doesn't mean that, they're not on the road to
Being better
and continual change, right? And then sometime being a leader, right? We're all on different time frames and different parts of our lives and careers and got different things going. So I would just say there's hope for everybody. If they're changing in a positive way, reinforce that positively and help them develop. But I would definitely agree. Not everybody's meant to lead.
Absolutely. So hope we kind of addressed your situation and we agreed with you, and thank you for that comment. I think we're going to do one more before we move on and close this shop up for this podcast. And this one was in regards to the devil is in the details. And we talked about music or all the little things that have that make your establishment what it is or what you want it to be, or maybe you go to an establishment that just plain doesn't care. And, doesn't care might be a little tough. It might be that circumstances have
Right.
driven them to whatever area that is. So this was about music and mirrors and gas stations is what they say. And they're saying that the details anymore are different because in gas stations, you used to be able to go into the restroom and there would be mirrors in the restroom. There'd be music playing in the gas station, just in the, where you pay for the gas. And now a lot of that is missing. And so, there's a lot of reasons it could be, but I would just agree that in so many businesses nowadays, the things that you became accustomed to are very noticeably missed.
Yes. So do you think that's a economic reason or just dull expectations?
Wow, that's a tough question because I think that it just depends on the situation, right?
Yes.
And I think let's just say you're in a business in the corner gas station that's been there for 35 years. It's probably been through a couple owners, a couple generations of owners, and things change, expectations change. I'm not sure. I mean, music, depending on where you get your music from, you've probably paid the ASCAP or I can't remember the other one, the licensing fees to listen to the music, or whoever you pay for the music has paid that. Maybe they can't afford that.
Right.
Maybe they don't have the the technical equipment
Know-how.
or know-how to be able to pump music anymore.
Right.
Speakers went down. Now it's streaming. Now
Right.
it's, it's not elevator music everywhere. It's all different. So I absolutely agree, though, that it is different today than it was ages and ages ago, in my time of youth. So with that being said, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. Here's what we hope you got out of today. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Close the circle. If you need to, overlap it a little bit. Give them that 110%. You good with that?
I'm 110% good with that. But not only that, have them repeat it back to you so they know what they're doing.
Very good. Very good. So with that being said, you know how to reach us. Reach us. We got one word for you, and that one word is aloha.
Aloha.